Imagine a day when you become so strong and so calm that no matter who throws words like knives, they never touch you. You win in glory and in silence without lifting a finger. The title promised you how to never be bothered by anyone, even when they try to hurt you. And that's exactly where we're going. But first, let me call it out clearly. Most men and women today are walking into battles naked without realizing it. Not physical battles, but emotional ones. Every glance, every insult, every misunderstanding feels like a sword slashing through your peace. And yet, there's another way. Have you ever witnessed a speaker on stage sharing his truth when suddenly an angry voice from the crowd throws out sharp words or mocking remarks? The weak speaker, untrained in mind, falters. His face tightens, his voice shakes, and the audience can feel his center collapsing. But the seasoned speaker, the one forged by experience, he does not flinch. He lets the words fall to the ground like stones that cannot pierce him. His calm presence speaks louder than any defense. This isn't luck. It isn't fantasy. It's discipline. It's mastery. In this video, we'll unfold several layers of that mastery, each one sharper and deeper than the last. I won't map them out like a table of contents, but I promise, by the middle of this journey, you'll encounter something unique. For centuries, men thought only legends could wield it. Today, it waits for you, a weapon you'll recognize the moment you hold it. So listen carefully, let yourself be pulled in, and test every idea against your own life. Because the question isn't whether people will try to disturb your peace. They will. The question is, will you let them succeed, or will you finally learn to walk untouched? 1. The trap of instant reaction. Most people believe that reacting fast makes them strong. A quick comeback in an argument, a sharp reply in a meeting, a raised voice in a family quarrel. They think speed equals power, but the truth is the opposite. Quick reaction is not strength, it's a leash. Whoever pulls it controls you. Picture Barack Obama at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in 2011. The room was filled with critics who had mocked him for months, questioning even his very identity. He could have snapped back in anger. Instead, he smiled, delivered a single sharp line, and let silence turn into laughter. In that pause, the entire room shifted. Not because he shouted louder, but because he remained unshaken. I never had the calm of someone like Obama. If I did, maybe I'd be working in government. When people questioned me at work, I would rush into explanations, pouring out words to prove I wasn't weak. But in truth, that flood of words only revealed I had already lost control. After years of discipline, I've upgraded myself. Now I know, silence is not absence, it is dominance. There's an old Stoic line, if you are easily provoked, you become easy to predict. That's the paradox. What looks like strength, loudness, speed, reaction, is actually the most fragile stance of all. And what looks like inaction, staying calm, holding the pause, is often the most unshakable move. So next time you feel that rush to answer instantly, stop, breathe once. Then ask yourself, am I speaking because it's wise or because I'm triggered? The difference decides whether you walk as master of yourself or as a puppet on someone else's string. 2. Stop trying to control everyone. One of the fastest ways to lose your peace is to believe you can control other people. It sounds obvious, but most of us live as if it weren't. We want our spouse to act exactly as we expect. We want colleagues to follow our plan without question. We want children to see the world the way we see it. And when they don't, we react with frustration, as if the world has betrayed us. I had a colleague named John who lived inside this trap so often. After each fight with his wife, He would call me out for a beer. Sitting across the table, I could see the guilt in his eyes. He knew he had hurt her. He knew his stubborn words left scars. And yet, he refused to bend, refused to let go of his position. He told himself it was strength, but what I saw was a man chained by his own pride. And I realized, control is an illusion. The more you chase it, the faster it destroys what you love. Trying to control people is like tightening a string past pitch. Instead of harmony, it snaps. Control impresses no one. Presence moves everyone. When you stop forcing outcomes, people stop bracing against you and start leaning in. The tighter you grip people, the weaker you look. But the moment you release the grip, you rise. Real influence doesn't come from force, it comes from presence. Think of the friend who never pressures anyone, yet people naturally listen to him, or the leader who doesn't shout, yet his silence carries more weight than another man's speech. That is what Stoics understood. Control yourself, and the world adjusts on its own. So ask yourself, are you losing sleep trying to change someone who doesn't want to change? What if, instead of forcing them, you mastered yourself and let your calm be the gravity that pulls them closer? And remember this, you can spend a lifetime trying to control others and end up losing yourself. But if you stay with me until part 6, you'll discover something unusual. A hidden weapon that flips the whole game of control on its head. 3. The weight of other people's opinions. One of the heaviest chains a person can wear is the fear of what others think. Most men and women walk through life as if they're on trial, waiting for the jury of society to hand down a verdict. A single raised eyebrow, a whispered comment, and suddenly their confidence crumbles. In my younger years, I once bought a shirt. A neighbor said, "That makes you look older," and I buried it in the closet. Months later, with no clean clothes left, I wore it to a meeting. My client looked at me and said, "You look magnetic in that shirt." That's the weight of other people's opinions. They can bury your confidence, even when they were completely wrong. Has life ever done that to you? Here's the irony. The more you crave acceptance, the less you are respected. People sense desperation like smoke in the air. But when you act from principle instead of popularity, the same people who ignored you begin to lean in. It's strange. You win influence not by chasing it, but by being willing to lose it. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That line stings, doesn't it? Yet there's freedom in it. Freedom to walk into a room without wearing a mask. Freedom to let silence answer criticism louder than excuses ever could. Think deeper. How much of your life is still directed by the invisible strings of opinion? And what would happen if, just for one day, you lived without caring who approved? If this hits home for you, share your story in the comments. Drop one sentence below. Whose opinion are you carrying? Because you'll see you're not the only one carrying this weight. 4. The illusion of winning every argument. Most people think that winning an argument means speaking louder, stacking more facts, or cornering the other person until they have nothing left to say. That might silence their mouth, but it never wins their heart. The truth is, the harder you try to win, the more you actually lose. History itself offers the same lesson. Think of the Trojan War. 10 years of blood spilled, kingdoms shattered, all sparked by a quarrel over who possessed the most beautiful woman. What began as a contest of pride ended with cities burned and countless lives lost. And in the end, no one truly won. The victors carried ashes, the defeated carried grief. That's the nature of arguments. Even when you win, you shrink. Arguments are like quicksand. The more you thrash, the deeper you sink. Every extra word fuels the fire. Every attempt to win drags you further down. The paradox is clear. The only way out is to stop struggling. Stillness becomes your ladder. Calm becomes your escape. Win the room if you must. Just know you may lose the room for good. Respect rarely returns to the man who can't return to calm. The Stoics understood this. Better to conquer your anger than to conquer a city. That single line reminds us, true victory isn't in crushing someone else's opinion, but in mastering the fire within your own chest. So the next time someone provokes you, ask yourself, do I want to prove I'm right, or do I want to keep my peace? Because one of them will cost the other. 5. The trap of overreacting to insults. Insults are cheap. Anyone can throw them. But the way you respond to them reveals everything about you. Most people make the mistake of treating an insult as a command. Someone presses a button and they explode on cue. That's not strength. That's programming. There's an old story from Chinese history. A general was once mocked by a rival in front of his troops. His men expected him to retaliate, to prove he wasn't weak. Instead, he laughed and said, "If a dog barks at you on the road, must you bark back?" The soldiers erupted in cheers. His rival had spent his weapon, and the general hadn't even drawn his sword. That's real power. Think of it this way, insults are like echoes in a canyon. If you shout back, the echo grows louder and follows you. But if you stay quiet, the sound dies on its own. The canyon empties itself, not you. From another angle, every insult is also a test. The one who insults you is secretly asking, "Can I control your mood?" with a single word. If you explode, you've answered yes. If you remain calm, you've turned their weapon into silence. In that moment, you didn't just ignore them. You proved they have no power over you. So the next time someone throws careless words at you, pause and ask yourself, am I proving my pride or protecting my peace? If one word can swing your mood, your peace belongs to the speaker. If silence keeps your center, your life belongs to you. Stay with me, because in part 6, I'll hand you a method, a hidden weapon, that will change how you face attacks forever. 6. When silence speaks louder than noise. Most people believe silence is weakness, the retreat of someone who ran out of words. But here's the contrarian truth. Silence is not retreat, it's ambush. The one who speaks less often controls more. I once saw a colleague torn apart in a meeting. Questions flew at him like arrows. "Do you even know what you're doing?" one voice snapped. "Explain yourself," another demanded. Instead of firing back, he leaned back, folded his hands, and let the storm run. People expected him to crack. Instead, the attackers grew restless, their voices sharper, their arguments thinner. His silence became a mirror, forcing them to confront their own noise. And when he finally spoke, his calm words landed like a hammer. "Are you finished?" Good. Now let's look at the facts. Think of silence like the ocean. Waves crash, thunder roars, but in the depths there is stillness so heavy it swallows every sound. That depth is where your true strength lies. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." What he meant is clear. The faster you rush to answer, the faster you lose control. Anger may feel strong in the moment, but it makes you a servant to impulse. Silence, on the other hand, is not weakness. It is space, it is choice. In that pause, you stop reacting to them, and you start responding for yourself. That's the moment you become untouchable. And now, as I promised, we step into something rare. Not advice, but a right. Not theory, but armor. And if you choose to take it, it can walk with you into every room, every conflict, every storm. In Greek myth, Warriors faced monsters not with more shouting, but with the helm of Hades, a hidden armor that made them untouchable. Today, you don't need a god's gift. Calm discipline is your modern helm. People may attack, but they end up punching shadows. Before you step into a meeting, a family conflict, or a place where you know criticism will fly, pause. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine putting on the helm of Hades. Not fantasy, but focus. Not a helmet of metal, but of silence and clarity. Take one breath for focus, one breath for distance, one breath for choice, then put on the helm. And say this mantra 3 times. Calm is armor, silence is power. With this armor, their words can pass through you like arrows through smoke. You still hear them, but they no longer cut you. This is your shield of calm. Don't underestimate it, and it only works for those who believe in it. Every time you choose to wear it, quietly, inwardly, you train your mind to walk untouched, even when the world tries to provoke you. Calm is armor. Silence is power. Choose to believe because you are what you think. And the man who wears this helm doesn't just survive the storm. He walks above it. If this practice speaks to you, hit like and subscribe. It tells me to bring you more tools like this. 7. Detachment is not indifference. Most people mistake detachment for not caring. They think if you don't react, you must be cold, distant, disconnected. But detachment isn't the absence of care. It's the presence of clarity. I once knew a man who argued with his teenage son almost every night. At that restless age, the more the father tried to control his son, the further the boy pulled away. He thought love meant correcting every mistake in real time. But love without detachment becomes suffocating. One evening, instead of another lecture, he simply listened. No raised voice, no lecture, just space, and for the first time his son spoke honestly. What years of arguments couldn't do, silence and detachment achieved in a single night. I used to think detachment meant acting like a monk on mute. It's not that, it's simply refusing to drown in someone else's tide. Imagine detachment as a soldier inside a fortress. Outside, arrows fly and drums thunder. But behind the walls, you can think clearly, choose your next move, and strike only when it matters. Detachment doesn't make you less loving. It makes your love less fragile. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Detachment is the practice of living that truth. It doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you stop letting their storms decide your weather. The next time someone close to you disappoints or frustrates you, pause before correcting them. Ask instead, do I want to control them or do I want to understand them? You'll find that detachment often creates more connection than control ever could. So remember, detachment isn't about building walls. It's about refusing to drown in someone else's tide. 8. The price of chasing every battle. Some people fight every fight, every comment online, every careless word at work, every disagreement at home. They treat it like a battlefield. And yes, they win some of those battles. But the cost, they lose the war for their own peace. Do you remember John, the colleague I mentioned back in chapter 2? The one who always argued and tried to control his wife? In the end, those constant fights carried a cost he could not escape. She filed for separation and moved to another city, chasing the career she always wanted instead of living under his rules. Their children had to split weekends between 2 homes. Tell me, doesn't this script sound painfully familiar? And it doesn't only happen in marriages. I've seen neighbors cut off friendships over a fence built an inch too far, never speaking again for years. The victory was just silence across the street. Not every hill is worth dying on. Save your oxygen for the mountain that matters. Think of it this way: life gives you a limited number of arrows. If you waste them shooting at every shadow, you'll have none left when the real enemy appears. Epictetus once said, "If you wish to be invincible, do not enter into a contest where victory is not in your control." He meant that most battles are traps. The real strength is choosing which ones deserve your energy and letting the rest die without you. Here's a practice. This week, pick one conflict you normally would jump into and step back instead. Don't correct, don't debate, don't fight. Watch how the battle fades on its own. You'll realize most fights never needed your sword in the first place. Because the truth is simple: the strongest warrior isn't the one who wins every battle. It's the one who refuses to fight battles that don't matter. 9. Freedom comes when you stop proving. Most of us waste years trying to prove something. Prove we're right, prove we're strong, prove we're successful. But proof is a chain. The more you chase it, the tighter it binds you. I was born into a poor family. My father left when I was still a child, while some of my relatives lived in wealth and comfort. Growing up with that contrast carved something into me, a hunger not just to succeed, but to prove. I told myself, one day I'll show them I'm not the forgotten one. When my business started to rise, I chased every deal that promised quick recognition. It wasn't about building a good life. It was about building a stage where I could finally stand tall for those relatives. But that hunger blinded me. I signed contracts I should have walked away from. And just when I thought I was at the top, the ground gave way, and I fell hard, deeper than I had ever imagined. I wasn't proving strength. I was proving my chains. Think of it like running on a treadmill. You sweat, you push, you get tired, but you never actually move forward. That's what life feels like when you're stuck trying to prove yourself to others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not what others say or think about you that should trouble you, but your own judgment of yourself." True freedom begins the moment you stop living as someone else's defense lawyer and start living as your own witness. Because in the end, life doesn't reward the man who proves the most. It rewards the man who needs no proof at all. 10. The power of walking away. There's a freedom most men never taste. The freedom of walking away. Not from responsibility, not from love, but from the endless need to wrestle with every voice, every opinion, every challenge thrown at you. I've seen men chain themselves to arguments like prisoners chained to stones. They drag the weight everywhere, wondering why life feels so heavy. But here's the paradox. The moment you release the stone, the prison vanishes. Nothing is holding you but yourself. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Walking away is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the ability to say, "This battle is not mine, this noise is not worth my peace." I lived half my life reacting to everyone, proving to everyone, fighting everyone. And all it gave me was exhaustion. The other half, I began to practice the art of release, of letting storms pass without joining them. That's when my life became mine again. After that collapse in my youth, I finally saw the truth. Being born in poverty was never a curse. It was like a raw diamond forced through pressure and fire before it shines. Growing up that way gave me something money couldn't buy: the drive to strive, the patience to endure, and the hunger to learn. Yet for years, I refused to acknowledge these gifts. I look now at my wealthy relatives. My Aunt Irina has everything, but her children still drift, clinging to her resources instead of building their own strength. Maybe my cousin too will need a hard fall before he wakes up, the same way I once did. Because in the end, life doesn't measure you by how many storms you shout into. It measures you by how many storms you can walk through in silence and still emerge whole. The quiet strength. We've walked together through the storms, from the traps of arguments to the discipline of silence, to the armor hidden in plain sight. If you remember nothing else, remember this. The loudest victories often leave you empty, but the quiet ones can save your soul. Life will never stop testing you. Someone will always throw words like knives. Someone will always demand you fight their battles. But you must ask yourself, is my energy a weapon for others to use, or a kingdom I choose to guard? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Strength is not about controlling the world, it's about mastering the meaning you give to it. My storm and your storms too are not punishments, but the chisels shaping who you must become. So as you step back into your life, into boardrooms, into family conflicts, into the quiet battles only you know, carry this truth: calm is armor, silence is power. Because the man who cannot be provoked cannot be broken, and the man who learns to walk through storms in silence leaves the storm behind and finds himself reborn. If these words touched you, don't keep them to yourself. Share them, speak them, and above all, live them.